Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make soy wax with color dye, step by step. Using dye is completely optional. If you don't have it or you prefer a clean, natural look, that's absolutely fine. My goal is to walk you through my process in a simple, beginner-friendly way and also share a few mistakes that I've made so you can avoid them in your own candle. So with that said, let's get started. Before we start, let me show you the main tools I'll be using in this video. First is a thermometer. I use this to check the wax temperature while it melts and cools, so I know when to add my color and my fragrance and when it's ready to pour. I also use a candle wick trimmer, which helps me keep the wick at a good burning length later on. You can use scissors, but a trimmer makes it more easier to reach inside the jar. The next ones are heat resistant wick stickers, which holds the tab at the bottom of the jar, and a wick holder that keeps the wick straight and centered while the wax sets. For melting, I'm using a candle wax pouring pot. It's simple, beginner friendly, and it gives you a good control when you pour. For this tutorial, I'm using Nature Soy Wax. You don't have to use this exact brand. Any good quality soy wax from a candle supplier will work following along with this video. So I'm going to be using 3 candle jars. Each jar is around 300 milliliters and comfortably holds around 230 grams of finished candle. For these jars, I'm using an LX18 wick from the LX Wicks series. LX Wicks are flat cutting wicks, and the LX18 works well with this jar size and soy wax, giving me an even burn without tunneling. I want to pause here to talk quickly about wick choice, because this is something that doesn't always get explained in detail. A lot of candle making videos show you their wick, but they don't always tell you the exact size or explain why it works for that jar. The truth is the diameter of the jar, your wax type and your fragrance load all affect which wick you should use. So you're welcome to try an LX18 if your jars are similar size, but always treat it as a starting point. Test your wick, watch out the burn and adjust if you need to. That way you won't waste money on wicks that don't suit your jars. Before I pour any wax, I like to clean the inside of my jars first. Wipe the inside of the jar with a lint-free cloth and a little rubbing alcohol that is safe for glass. This removes fingerprints, oils and dust and gives the candle a cleaner and more professional finish once it's set and burning. Next, I attach my wick to its resistant wick sticker and press it firmly onto the bottom of the jar. It's really important to keep your wick as close to the center as possible. If it leans too far to one side, you can end up with an uneven burn and tunneling down. Once the wick is in place, I had a wick holder on top to keep it straight and stable, ready for pouring. After that, I preheat the jars before I pour the wax. Warming the jars slightly helps reduce frosting on the sides as the candle sets. A little frosting is normal with soy wax and doesn't affect the burn, but preheating can help the candle set more evenly and look a bit more cleaner. Okay, in this clip you can see me measuring the soy wax and pouring it onto the pouring pot for these 3 candles. At first, I worked this out based on the idea that each jar could hold about 250 grams of soy wax, so I applied my batch around that amount. But later on, once everything was poured and tested properly, I realized I was wrong. Each jar actually hold about 230 grams in total. That includes the wax, the fragrance, and the color dye. I'm sharing this to show that it's completely normal to get your numbers slightly off. When you're starting out, the important thing is to notice it, learn from it, and use that knowledge to improve on your next batch. In a future video, I'll be breaking down the formula of working out how much wax and fragrance you really need for your jars so you can avoid the same mistake. As the wax melts, you might see it clumping into a ball, and to avoid that, it's a good idea to stir the wax slowly every now and then, especially if you're making a bigger batch, like I am here with 3 candle jars. When you stir, keep the motion smooth and gentle. Try to stick to one direction, either clockwise or always anti-clockwise. One thing you need to remember is stirring too fast or constantly changing direction can create extra air bubbles in the wax. Those bubbles can show up later inside the candle and affect how cleanly it burns. So you don't need to stir consistently, but do check on it and give it a slow stir so the wax melts evenly, doesn't clump up together and doesn't fill up with unnecessary bubbles. When the wax has fully melted, it's usually around 90 degrees Celsius, which is too hot for color and for fragrance. So what I do is I let it cool down a bit before adding anything. For this candle, I'm going to be using a red dye, and I like to add it when the wax is around 70 degrees Celsius. I add the dye into the wax and stir slowly about 1 minute 30 seconds until the dye has fully dissolved and the wax looks even. After the dye is fully combined, I let the wax cool further down before adding my fragrance oil to it. So for this batch, I like to add the fragrance when the wax is between 55 and 60 degrees Celsius. Finding the right temperature for your fragrance is important, because if the wax is too hot, you can lose some of that scent and the candle may not smell as strong once it's set. Once the fragrance is in, I stir slowly around for 2 minutes to help it bind properly with the wax. Again, keep stirring smooth in the same direction to avoid extra bubbles. It's very important. After that, I keep an eye on the temperature as the wax cools when it reaches around 53 degrees Celsius. And now, it's ready to pour into the 3 candle jars that I prepared earlier. I pour slowly and steadily, trying not to introduce more bubbles, and then leave the jars to cool and set. Once the candle is set, I leave them to cure. For wax, it's really important to let your candles cure for around 2 weeks before you burn them. During this time, the wax and fragrance have a chance to bind properly, which helps the candle develop a strong scent and more even burn when you finally light it. If you burn a soy candle too soon, you might notice the scent isn't very strong or doesn't last as long as you expected. Giving it that full curing time makes a big difference to the hot throw and overall performance. So once everything is done, you just need to be a bit patient. Leave your candle somewhere safe to cure and they'll be ready to enjoy after the healing time. So I hope you've learned something useful today, especially the little details like a wick choice, temperatures, and it's completely normal to make mistakes when you're learning. Okay, so I noticed that I didn't share exactly the fragrance oil that I used, but if you would like to know, leave a comment below and I'll share it with you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found this useful, please like the video and subscribe for more candle making content, and I'll see you guys on the next one.